Welcome back to another Monster Hunter tutorial. Today we are going to be starting the Rise tutorials. This is going to start with the Greatsword. We're going to go through all the weapons, and just like the last series, we're going to go through some of the other stuff as well. And this does not mean the end of the world tutorials. I will still be making some of those and getting back to some of the comments that I've been getting on the channel about some things left out or some other guides that have been asked for. So we will be hitting those, but for now I just want to put videos out for people who are jumping into Rise as it is now out on console, so I want to make sure people have some guides for those. I know there's plenty out there, but I wanted to be able to make my own. So the first thing I'm going to mention with this series, I am not going to put in the video how to unlock all the switch skills for the specific weapon. I will have a video on that separately because it is a very easy thing to do. But again, welcome back to the channel, and let's go ahead and jump right into how to use the Greatsword. So to start off, we're actually not going to talk about the switch skills right now, we're just going to talk about the basic moves. And if you watch my world videos, you can probably skip this part a little bit because it is just the exact same. You have to charge 3 times, there's 3 different charges that you can do. There's tackling, there's some more B attacks that are wide slashes as well as rising slashes. So go ahead and skip if you've already watched the world tutorials, just a little bit ahead. And if you are new to the Greatsword, let's go ahead and talk about the buttons. So I am on Xbox, I'm going to be using X, Y, A, B, but you can easily translate that over to PlayStation with square, O, triangle, X, and even Switch players. So let's go ahead and talk about the Greatsword. It is a slower weapon, but it deals a significant amount of damage, and this is definitely a lot more fun to use in Rise than in some of the past games. So let's go ahead and talk about how to use it. The first mechanic we're going to be looking at is charging. So charge attacks are going to be something that you can hold down the Y button for, and it will do a lot more damage depending on how long you hold it. As you can see, red, orange, and white. As soon as it hits white, you're going to want to release. Our Y attacks are going to be those charges, and you'll notice that I have a side blow and then I move into charge 2 without putting in any inputs, but then I move into a side blow and move back into charge 2. In Monster Hunter World, you had to put in a movement direction whilst going to your next charge, otherwise you would hit a side blow and just repeat the same charge level you were on. In this game, that is not the case for the first to second charge transition, but it is still that for the second to third. Let's go ahead and look at that really quick. So charging, I'm not moving my character at all. Side blow, charging level 2, and again, side blow, and without putting in a direction, I will be stuck here on this second one indefinitely. But you'll notice if I move forward with my next Y, I can then move into a true charge slash. From there, we have our B attacks, wide slash and tackle, as well as leaping wide slash. A rising slash is still wide B, and again, these are all the same moves as they have been in the past few games, except for maybe the different charges. Tackle will move you through damage, and there is a variant to that one, we'll get to that soon. So be sure to use tackling to close the gap, skip charge levels entirely, since we no longer have shotgunning with our slinger ammo to skip us straight through it. You can also use tackling to indefinitely move forward as long as you have the stamina to do so. I currently have a mod on for infinite stamina just for the video, so that's why mine's not going down, but tackling and evading are both going to use your stamina. And again, as this is a heavier weapon, we can hold down right trigger to guard with it. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the switch skills real quick. And now let's talk about our guard tackle. So this is going to be one of your B attacks. This is going to replace your tackle, and you can hit B and move into a guarding tackle. This is going to do damage. It's also going to proc guarding skills. Offensive guard, guard, guard up. I can block the beginning of an attack, the middle of an attack, as well as the ending of an attack. So the tackle moves you through an attack, you still take damage, and you will not block or reduce sharpness, whereas the guard tackle is going to reduce sharpness as you are getting hit by your weapon, so you're blocking an attack. It is going to proc guard skills, including offensive guard, and it is going to take a little bit longer to pull off, but you can proc a counter as soon as you hit your button input to start this. Let's go ahead and talk about our true charge slash. So that's going to be the TCS that people refer to. This is the strongest attack in the game. That's going to be charge level 3, this one right here, where you move back, hit the ground once and then twice, and that's going to be a very strong attack. People are very fond of this one. And then we also have the switch skill from generation is the Rage Slash. So this one's going to be a little bit different, whereas we have our same few charges. There's nothing different about those, but then our third one is now a Rage Slash. It is relatively similar. It doesn't do as much damage, but it does act as your heavy hitting attack, and you can skip by tackling to immediately go into it. Something very, very important about this move that sets it apart is that you have a full rotation that you can do. So I can go to the right, I can go to the left and right, and now as we're facing forward, I can also turn around and hit backwards. This is a very important part of the move, and it is actually one of the reasons I love this one so much. It's not as lateral as your true charge slash, where you are moving here on one hit and then all the way over here on your second hit, and it replaces that extra movement for a little bit more direction, a little bit more control over your weapon. One of the other reasons I personally like Rage Slash a lot more is because it just looks a lot cooler. But something to look at here is in the description. Receiving damage while the weapon is drawn sparks a flame in the user's heart, strengthening their attack. Meaning taking damage with Rage Slash active is going to increase your attack. Now let's go ahead and look at our Surge Slash combo. This is going to change our YB, B, and Y attacks, so let's go ahead and look at those. So our Y attacks are now going to be Falling Slash 1, 2, and 3. And there are actually a few different times that you can input the button to make it look a little bit different. Just like that. These are your B attacks, some Vortex Slashes, and again they all go up to 3. And lastly we have the YB Rising Slash, up to 3 levels. So the cool thing about these is that you can actually chain them all together even if they're from different inputs, meaning I can do a YB1, B2, and a Y3, as they all kind of work together to build each other. So I can do even a Y1, YB2, and a B3. There's definitely a lot of combos you can do. Now the thing to note about this is that you cannot actually go into your charge attacks just by normal means. You then have to move forward after a level 3 attack and hit Y, and then do that again to move into your level 3 attack. And for B, 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 I can't hit B again, but I can hit Y and forward to hit the then charge attack, and one more time for a true charge slash. And that would be the same thing with the YB attacks. That is the only thing that changes. Now let's go ahead and look at our Silk Binds. So these are the ones that are going to use Wirebugs, and Hunting Edge and Power Sheath are going to be your starting ones. So let's go ahead and talk about those. I'm going to turn on Rage Slash and Charge Slash combo just for this. And let's talk about our Wirebugs. So when you have your weapon put away, left trigger or L2 is going to be your Wirebug aiming. But while your weapon is out, left trigger is also going to be the way that we're going to activate Silk Bind. As you can see, I'm holding down left trigger and I can either YB skill swap or I can use Hunting Edge or Power Sheath. So we're going to go ahead and use Hunting Edge. Just see what it does. So we're going to bounce off, and then we can hold another charge and go up in the air. And that is all that this is going to do. It's going to vault us into the air. We're going to be able to go and vault off the monster with a hit. And then from the air, we can also do a second charge attack if we want. If we do not put in that charge attack, it's just going to look like this. And now let's go ahead and talk about Power Sheath. So Power Sheath is literally just going to pull you to a direction and sheath it for you, increasing your attack power. That's just going to look like this. Again, I will have all the Silk Bind and Switch skill buff values, their duration, and how to unlock them in another video. I will get to those soon. I will have something here in the top right corner for you to click on now to go watch that video, and you can find out what you're actually using. So after Hunting Edge, we have Adamant Charge Slash, and Backslide is going to replace our Power Sheath. Now the Backslide is actually something that will pull us back behind us, and we can kind of direction this, but it'll always pull us back. And this is a very unique move because for our charges, this is actually going to bump us up a charge level every time we use it, so that we can just completely skip the charges. And this is kind of the exact same as tackling, so I think tackling would be a little bit more efficient of your Wirebugs, but the alternative is that for the Surge Slash combo, it will actually hold your place in a combo. So as you can see, I did Rising Slash 1, 2, and then 3. And then we can see that again going between 2 and 3. So I'll do 2, backslide, and it'll keep me at 2 so that I can immediately go into 3. So in the charge slash combo, this is going to push us forward 1 charge level, and in the surge slash combo, it's going to hold our place in the combo so that we can continue with any of our moves from there. Let's go ahead and talk about the adamant charge slash. So this is also an interesting move in that it'll pull us forward and we'll do an overhead slash, but from there we actually have a few options. So we're going to go ahead and hold down left trigger, go ahead and hit Y, it'll pull us forward, and that's what it will look like if we do nothing. Now, option A is to go in and then move forward and Y to start your 3rd level slash. Alternatively, if we go in and then hit Y, we have a side blow. We can then move into charging or hit B and go from there. Or what we can do is actually charge it before it even hits the first slam. So we're going to go in, and whilst the Wirebug is pulling us forward, we're going to hold down Y, so it'll look like this. This is going to be throwing us into the 2nd charge level, and then we can move into level 3 from there. Now, I do personally really like this one. This is very helpful for moving immediately into your level 3 slashes, especially on the surge slash combos when you have to go through 3 different moves before you can even access your charge attacks. So this is a very good one to pair with that, but the next silk bind we're going to talk about is actually a little bit more important. But this is a nice one because you can use it once, and then you'll do your attack, and then by the time you're done using your 2nd adamant charge slash, your first one's cooldown will be just about done. So this is a pretty fun one to use, and again, it is a very good way to just hop right into your level 3 charges. Now, we're going to talk about strong arm stance, but I am re-recording this part, so if the audio sounds a little bit different or it's worse, I apologize. But I had a 10-minute recording trying to explain strong arm, and I don't think it's going to take 10 minutes, so I'm going to re-record this, try to do it a little bit quicker. But strong arm is arguably the most important silkbind in the Greatsword's kit, and that is because it's a counter, but it's also something you can use as a utility. So if we were to use it during a charge, it could skip us up charge levels, and it can also generate the most powerful hit for the Greatsword alongside the true charge slash. So let's go ahead and look at that really quick. Now, for some reason in this game, I am absolute dog water at timing counters and stuff right. I had a lot of trouble with that in my longsword video, so that was pretty funny. But this is what the counter is going to look like. You're going to be left trigger and Y for this one, or triangle. You're going to kind of just stand there and take a blow. So let's go ahead and hop in here and do that. See, I'm horrible at timing these things if they're not in an actual fight. So it'll look like that. From there, we can go in and do a few different things, but you'll notice I can also use it while I am charging already, and that's going to throw us into level 3. As you can see there, I actually wasn't facing, you probably didn't see because my Palico and them were in the way, but I was facing away from the attack when I did that, so you do have to be facing the monster when you do this, and it is important to note that whilst you're doing this, it's going to stop, and you can move into a charge attack. That's going to be pretty helpful for getting those off. And then you can also start a charge attack and then hit left trigger. That'll look like this. As you can see, I'm already in Rage Slash. So using this with True Charge Slash is actually one of the most viable ways to run this weapon. It's pretty good because you can run them back to back, especially if you have Wirebug Whisperer level 3. So you're going to want to be using that a lot. There's a few different ways that you can actually proc this. So I'm going to use some barrel bombs to show you how to do a wake up hit, for instance, as well as maybe a final attack to mount the monster. So what we're going to do is, since we can use this while we're charging our weapon, we're actually going to place a barrel bomb. The barrel bomb is going to act as our hit that we're going to counter to proc this. We're going to charge an attack, hit left trigger, it's going to block it, and we can move immediately into our True Charge Slash or Rage Slash. In this instance, I am using Rage Slash, but using True Charge Slash is a little bit better sometimes because it does do a lot more damage, but it is a lot harder to control. And I'm not a great sword main, so I do like to have a little bit more control over where I'm hitting, but that's going to look like this. We're going to place it down, we're going to charge our attack, hit left trigger, and go into the final hit. So, place it down, immediately start, and then left trigger immediately. And as you can see, we are now in Rage Slash. So that is why this is one of the most important silk binds to be using. This is actually probably the highest amount of damage that you can chain with the greatsword. And don't be afraid to use this as just a counter instead of a counter attack, because if you're going to get hit and you can't evade, you know, maybe you're out of stamina and your last resort is going to be strong arm, it can tank an attack and it won't hit you, so that is a good way to use it too. So don't be afraid to be like, oh, I'm going to get hit, but this is an attack that's supposed to be used for attacking. No, this is, first and foremost, this is going to be a counter and a guard. So as you can see, I didn't take any damage, but I can move straight into my charges. So make sure to use this as often as possible. And the skills that we're going to cover here in just a second, Wirebug Whisper is going to be used mainly for Sunbreak and beyond for Greatsword, but you can use Focus if you are using the Charge Slash combo as opposed to the Surge Slash, primarily because the Charge Slash combo is going to be full of just Charge Slashes. A lot of your damage from the Surge Slash combo is going to be coming from your combos that you're doing with the YB, B, and Y attacks, so using Focus isn't going to help you as much there, especially if you're running Strong Arm Stance, because you're not charging an attack as often as you would be using a Charge Slash, or maybe even the Adamant Charge Slash. So that about does it. I think I did that in a lot less than 10 minutes. So that about does it. Let's go ahead and look at some of the skills. So let's go ahead and break this down into two parts. The first skill I'm going to give you is going to be recommended for newer players, people who do not have Sunbreak yet, as this has just come out for the base game on console. You guys will not have access to Sunbreak yet. That'll be a little ways out. So you're going to be wanting to use the Focus skill. This is going to reduce your charge times by 15%. And that's a pretty big thing for greatswords, considering a lot of its damage is coming from charge attacks. So you're going to be wanting to run Focus. This is a 3-point skill. And the other one that we want to be looking at, again, this is going to be for Sunbreak players. The transition comes once you unlock Strong Arm Stance. This is where the potential of Wirebug Whisper is going to come out the most for Greatsword. You're going to want to be running at least level 1 of Wirebug Whisper and be using a third Wirebug. Now, using level 2 and 3 is great. If you were using Focus and you got Strong Arm Stance, go ahead and just switch it all the way over to Wirebug Whisper, because that's going to help you a lot, especially if you're using Wirebugs for things other than Strong Arm too. Be sure to slot these according to your playstyle. If you're not using Strong Arm, you don't need to be running Wirebug. You can still be running Focus if you want, especially if you are running the Charge Slash combo. But if you are using the Surge Slash combo, I highly recommend that you use Wirebug Whisper, because you're not going to have access to the charge attacks as easily. So with all that said and done, that is the Greatsword guide, and go ahead and let me know if I left anything out in the comments. I've also been getting a lot of comments about my audio, so make sure to leave a comment down there if this was loud enough for you guys. I know a lot of my world tutorials were not as vocally loud, so I was testing this at about 20% PC volume, so I'm hoping that'll translate over to the phone, and everything else will be pretty similar in volume, so that it is loud enough for you to hear at a lower volume instead of having to turn it all the way up just for my videos. So again, go ahead and let me know down in the comments if I left anything out and if the audio is working for you guys. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.